one of the things that's disturbing me the most about what's going on right now is what is all of this technology that they're rolling out across the world? What is it for? What is it really for? What is technology supposed to make things better? Is it supposed to make things better? What exactly is it making better, and for whom? I think that's something that I wish a lot more people would talk about, because there's so many arguments about how artificial intelligence and mass surveillance is the only way to handle a pandemic, and that we need SpaceX and we need these satellites from space that can count how many nose hairs that I have and take my temperature and scan my face and know how many hairs I have on my head, and that this is important in order to know how to treat people, and that all of their medical records must be processed and analyzed, and all of their conversations must be processed and analyzed in order for us to stop something that is less fatal than the flu. This is the reality. So we're in very, very strange times where it's the Twilight Zone, and everything that you hear on the news is a fucking bunch of bullshit. Bullshit. And I am somebody who worked in alternative press. I worked with CIA whistleblowers for a little bit there. I've worked in Hollywood. I've moved around a lot. There's a lot of different backstories to why that's the life that I've lived. I've lived in Canada. I've lived in Russia. I've lived all over the United States. I've traveled across country 17 times taking photographs. I've done all kinds of different things. I've been sick for a very long time. That's part of why I've done so many different things, because I've had to reinvent myself as the very crippling disease that I had, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, changed the landscape of my life over and over and over again. Like when I was 18 years old, I went to college to become a professional fine artist, illustrator, photography, and different things like that. But I got sick. And so I went from being very, very healthy, 18-year-old athletic young woman to in a wheelchair facing surgery after surgery after surgery. So I've had a lot of different things changing the landscape of my life, and I've had to roll with those punches and try all different types of medicines, all different type of pharmacological solutions that ended up making me way worse and so much sicker. So from my own life experiences, I've learned to be very skeptical, and also to not trust anybody who claims to be an authority, because even if they're wearing a lab coat, they're still practicing medicine. So we need to keep that in mind. But what are all of these technologies for? Are they for some megalomaniacal, psychopathic, perverted, peeping Tom pedophile, or a hive of these vampires to be able to count my nose hairs, know how many heartbeats I have in a REM cycle? I mean, why do these people deserve to know anything about anyone, and why must it be packaged as the bettering of humanity and making life safer and, keeping things... What happened to nature knowing how to keep things in proper balance? Because it sure as hell looks to me like mankind, led by psychopaths specifically. I do want to keep the focus on the psychopaths part, because as I do more of these, I'm going to talk a lot more about my background and research and understanding of psychopaths, because I think it's a quintessential part of everything that we're seeing happening right now, is the fact that people need to understand really what psychopaths are. I think a lot of people don't fully understand that. A lot of people watch Out of Shadows and they're just like, but why? Like, why would people be pedophiles? Like, what's appealing about having sexual relationship with a child? Like, oh my God. And you know what? It's that it's power. And there's so many different ways to have that conversation, and why it's so important. There's so many different angles and details that I think Out of Shadows has now opened the Pandora's box of opportunity, really, for people to be discussing these things. Because as somebody who's been writing about these things and sharing my personal experiences inside, knowing, different people who were trafficked, abused from childhood, from very wealthy families, from people who, like, families that were working for major Christian organizations in the United States, connected to the Pentagon. I mean, it's all over the place. This is not inside the Catholic Church. I mean, it's everywhere. This is not new. QAnon did not bring this to the scene, y'all. It's been around for a long time, and there are a lot of people that know a lot of answers. And these are conversations that need to become safe to discuss. And I think the reason I'm willing to come forward and talk about this stuff now is because Out of Shadows, one great thing that it did do, other than have the media scrambling to package this as an alt-right or extreme conservative or religious extremist, Christian religious extremist agenda. It's simply not. It's been a long time that it's been around. It's never actually gone away. It's been around for the beginning of humanity. But people thought that it had gone away and that slavery was no more and all these different things and that we don't have kings. Well, kings still had a lot of money, and a lot of money can allow you to repackage yourself and re-promote yourself as a totally different, PR campaign, and reinvent yourself over and over and over again, and your family name over and over and over again. Welcome to Hollywood Light and Magic, to the great and powerful Oz illusions of a little man behind the curtain. So this is the reality, is that money provides you the ability to have platform and to reinvent yourself for a new audience and a new generation over and over and over again by looking cool and redefining what words even mean. Welcome to having money. But these topics have been around for a long time. This is not an alt-right extremist thing. It's not. They tried to diminish it into being something as ridiculously absurd sounding as Pizzagate. They tried to distract us with Russia. And as somebody who's lived in Russia as a lesbian woman, I can tell you it's nothing the way that they say it is. Is it perfect? No, I'm not sure what is perfect on planet Earth. But it's nothing the way that it is presented as in the Western media. And so, first of all, I want to know, what is all of this technology for, other than giving absolute perverts and people that remind me of Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget? It's like lightning strike, as I pet my kitty. Okay, I finally have the ultimate surveillance apparatus that I myself have the Borg. I am the master of the Matrix. I mean, what is this technology for, other than helping these absolute freaks that are trying to tell us that it's for our own good and our own safety? Because I'm not buying it. But they don't care if you're buying. They don't need us to buy anything. That's another thing. They don't need us. They haven't needed us for a long time, and people need to come to terms with that fact and start looking at the world as they have all the seeds, they have all the fertile soil, they have all the land, they have all the money and the mechanism that makes us understand money and trading and what has value and what doesn't, what gets a loan, what doesn't get a loan. These have real people controlling the systems that we live in. And it's time that people start pulling away that mask and talking about the fact that there are 7 billion people on this planet and a handful controlling all of us. That's just the bare basics. That's the bare basics reality. And it's very taboo for some reason to talk about these things. But we're also, thanks to Out of Shadows, realizing that as a collective, that we're realizing that this is a real problem, and we're going to go through a mourning process of trying to digest the fact that our heroes could be monsters. And so these are investigations and also conversational processes that we need to understand, because guess what? They have a lot of technology. They have nanoscale things we can't even see technologies, artificial intelligence. They have the ability to potentially merge computer-derived DNA into an organic cell and create things that were never even intended to be on this planet. And so having germ warfare and all these different things, which, by the way, we're in World War III right now, Having all these things is a reality that we need to come to terms with, and quick, because they're using COVID-19, which to me is just a rebranding of the good old flu, for agenda. Repackaged Trojan horse in order to unveil and unleash the hell dog of totalitarianism in order to so-called defeat China in this war game. But is it China? No, because it's the whole world that started out as the New World Order, and they have been developing all of these things in order to stay in power. The atom bomb isn't enough. Oh, God. And I'm sick of it. So for me, transhumanism and becoming cyborg and merging with computers, and these are perversions from pedophiles and psychopaths in power. These are perverted ideas that they have convinced us that humans aren't good enough, that we're just some type of a biohazard. Nature itself isn't good enough. The way nature copes with viruses and germs and the facts of dying, these are all things. I overheard some scientist, some creepy mad scientist, say that the mystery of life wasn't so mysterious, and that death was a disease, and he was going to find the cure by using nanomedicine and nanorobots and all these things. Well, this is creepy stuff, you guys. When did psychopathic hubris start to win supreme over the whole world, that we deserve to declare that these individual men, these rich people and families, that they deserve to tell us what the New World Order is? It's like, well, where humanity will fall under a rule of law and not the rule of the jungle. Well, wait a minute. What's wrong with the rules of the jungle? What's wrong with those? What's wrong with being human? What's wrong with loving yourself? Oh, I know. You can't sell something to a satisfied person. It's not good for capitalist agendas. So again, what is all of this stuff for? We need to ask the right questions, you guys, because we're up against some really serious consequences right now. Like, are we ever going to be able to shop in a real store with a not robot at the checkout and have a real person with a real high school job, or somebody with a career that owns a small business and has cute little knickknacks or things they made in their basement? I mean, I'm an artist. I like diversity. I like to see a lot of different ways of looking at something. Like, this is the spice of life. What are we doing? Centralizing truth and fact and having Facebook tell us what truth and not truth is, and this is technology, this is improvement. No, it's definitely not. The world has turned upside down with this whole thing. People have no idea what's going on, but they know that it's a shit show of misinformation. If you have a brain in your mind, if you have eyes to see, if you've been paying attention at all, you can tell that statistics have been wildly distorted. There are COVID-19 packages of test kits that are contaminated with COVID-19, and there's hardly any death rate. I mean, we're constantly seeing that. This is certainly no pandemic that deserved closing down society and bankrupting the world. Over 50% of Los Angeles County is out of work right now, and they were already having millions and millions of people in tent cities before that. So we're coming to this point where we understand that we're run by pedophile, psychopathic freaks that have been in power for a long time. They, want to live forever. That's another thing. These people want to live forever. And I want to just put it right out there. This isn't a right or a left wing thing or an American thing. This is just a right and a wrong thing. It's wrong to have sex with children and animals and to do these perverted things and to do blood rituals. It's just creepy. It's just wrong. This isn't human life. This isn't what we're supposed to do. But these people, they're psychopaths. They have no conscience. They don't look at the world the way that we look at the world. They're not bothered by emotions. If you think about how much time in your life that you've spent hurting over an ex, like breaking up with you, or wondering if people like you or if you did the right thing or you did the wrong thing or if you hurt someone's feelings or you hit an animal by accident in the car. I mean, these are things that just weigh us down. But when you're a psychopath, none of those pesky feelings get in the way. This is stuff that people need to really think about. If you don't have any emotions, and we are coming to understand that psychopathy is not a soft science like the rest of the DSM manual. Every other diagnosis, from manic depression to, schizophrenia, these are soft sciences. There's no blood test or brain scan or any type of data-based test you can do to test for these things. It's just a person looking at you and saying, you have all of these symptoms on the checklist, so therefore you must have this, and here, take a pharmaceutical, here's an SSRI, go home, take an anti-anxiety. And those things are also being largely seen to be experimentation. Again, doctors are practicing on you. They're not absolute authorities. We need to come to terms with these facts. Not only experts have solutions and know what's going on. I mean, technically, there's a lot of people out there who don't have fancy degrees. And we're also seeing that Harvard is a big old, joke in a lot of ways, where rich people can pay for their kids and buy off things for failures and pedophiles and losers and cult members and whatever else. I mean, these titles are all just illusions of control. And so when did nature suddenly not be good enough? That's number one. And two, what is all this technology good for? Just helping peeping toms and perverts be able to take my heart rate and count my eyelashes, and scan my face and look at my telephone number and then watch me on my cell phone and my smart TV and watch me take my bra off at night? I mean, what are we doing? And I mean, we're at the event horizon here. So people with emotions are people who are light carriers. And these people, psychopaths, are black holes. And if you look at what happens when a star meets the event horizon of a black hole, we get ripped apart and sucked into another dimension where we no longer exist in permanent darkness for all we know. Do we want that? Do we want to be led by people who just need to more, I need more, I don't have enough, I've got to take your whole life and stuff it in my vacuous vampiric hole? This is the situation that we're in, and we need to really start talking about that stuff. This isn't an alt-right QAnon thing, okay? I want to be able to go to the movies. I want to be able to go to a nightclub and have unique art stores and uniquely owned gift shops. And I don't want to have to order everything off of Amazon. And Bezos is the ultimate in distribution across the entire world. And they get to decide, well, no more FDA regulation because I don't care if you like GMO. That's what you're going to eat. Either that or starve. Pick your pick. And Nestle will have all the water in the world. And Bill Gates has the seed bank with all of the real seeds. And you only get GMO that won't actually grow next season because you have to buy more seeds from us or you're going to die. I mean, what the hell, guys? We have all the potential and the technologies and the things that we need to make this world awesome, but not if we're letting these freakos control it all. These are the types of things I'd like people to start talking about. So I think I'm going to stop for here because I could talk a long time about all of this stuff. But I'm just getting used to dipping my toe into the live vlogging on the internet, social media, because let's face it, they've already got all my biometrics. They've scanned my face time and time again because I worked for the NDAA lawsuit against Obama, Hedges versus Obama, if you want to take a look, which was referenced by Whitney Webb in many of her disclosures that gave me a bleeding ulcer feeling. Okay, let's not beat around the bush. I told you I'm coming out of the closet and I'm just speaking my mind because what do we have to lose now? We've already lost it all. They're tracking us, people. They're watching us. They're listening to every conversation, every fight, every time we have sex, every time we laugh. They're predicting what we're wanting to do next. And they're making sure that only they have the ability to get our food to us, our water to us, and our electricity. We're all on the grid, the matrix. They are in control. We're the Borg now. And I'm not comfortable with it. So I'm just sharing. Okay, I challenge you to try to sleep now.